The fact of the matter is, whether you've been in network marketing for years or just a few days, your family and friends have seen your opportunity and your phone is, as we call it, burnt. If you're anything like me, that's a scary thought. So the big question is, how do entrepreneurs like us, who love the network marketing profession, who no longer want to be that guy, and are tired of convincing people during uncomfortable let's get coffee meetings where they say, what's this all about? How do we market in a way that aligns us with our dream clients and expands our network of upfront and transparent professionals, allowing us to get our time back, our families back, and gain a real passive asset? People like us who value impact over income, we deserve to see our visions once and for all. Join me in this podcast where we'll uncover just how to do that. My name is Eric Sablon. Welcome to Burnt Phone Marketing. Hey everybody, welcome to Burnt Phone Marketing. This is Eric Sablon. I'm so excited today. I have the awesome opportunity to interview one of the up and coming podcasters. He owns a podcast runs a podcast called Coaching Success Radio. He's a husband, a father of two. He has a real estate background. He also did some funding for some fix and flips. So he's been in the industry. He's been networking for a long time. He did some stuff with music and his church. So he's really got that side of his business, that side of him laid out. He has a podcast again called Coaching Success Radio, and he's the coach for coaches. So everybody, please welcome William Winterton to the show.
Hey, what's going on, Eric? How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm so excited that you're on, man. I appreciate you coming on, taking the time out. So I want to jump right in. Give us a little bit about the backstory of, how Coaching Success Radio came about. And I liked your transition from what you were doing before to what you're doing now.
Absolutely, man. Well, I tell you, it's a bit of a wild ride, but Coaching Success Radio really, I guess I should start a little bit earlier and talk about how I got into the coaching world in the first place. As you said in the intro, man, thanks for the intro. It was awesome. I've done a lot of entrepreneurial stuff my whole life. First entrepreneurial job was when I was 14. I started doing magic shows for children's birthday parties, and I created a business of I've never really had like a desk job 9 to 5. Like that's just not how I'm wired. So like that's where I started off, and I went into the music world for a long time. But the coaching stuff started out in the real estate land, and I started coaching real estate investors. I was a financier, so I financed projects for fix and flip homes as like 2008, 2009 when the crash hit. The banks weren't lending anymore. We saw an opportunity, so we started funding investors to buy homes, buy apartments, buy commercial property, whatever. But in that group, I started working with other investors and other real estate lenders, and I became kind of a mentor and a coach of a group. There's like 7 of us who were mentoring and coaching a group of about 400 or 500 private lenders. It was one of the largest private lender communities in the country, and I became a coach for that. I had about 40 people under me at any one time that I would just be kind of on call for, right? So that's where the bug for coaching kind of started. Like, oh, this is more fun than doing the flipping. Like real estate to me was never that sexy. Like it's a house, right? It's got walls, it's got a roof. You can probably make some money, but there's like the people side of it was what I loved. So I got into that world, got into the coaching, started coaching small businesses. And then about 2 years ago, took on a project called the Coaching Success Club, which was a membership site where a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and I kind of co-led that. I created the content for it. We ran live calls every week. We had guest people, special experts come in and talk about coaching. And then that drifted off for a couple of reasons. Nothing bad. It was just that really my partner, her family, she's not from this country, and she had to go back to Bulgaria and visit family and take care of some stuff. So we dissolved that, but I kept that Coaching Success name and decided let's keep the same idea going. And let's put together, instead of a membership platform, let's have it more accessible so anybody and everybody can grab onto the content. So a few months ago, I think in April, May, launched Coaching Success Radio, and it's been going strong ever since, man.
Man, that is so awesome. And one thing that I like about what you said was, and if the audience wants to really take notes on this, is he kind of found a niche to where there was an issue in 2009. So he found the niche. So he created an opportunity for a lot more people, and he kind of widened it out. Then he found some stuff that, he really got into. He partnered up with the right people. He found the who's, and then he built off that. And then as things happened, he really transitioned into his own world and Coaching Success Radio. So guys out there, there's always that opportunity. You just have to be looking for the opportunity, because if you're not looking, what you look for, you find. I've always said that. One of my mentors told me this is, what you seek, you will find, always. So that's awesome. So you're doing coaching. So a little bit about your business. Your business is in coaching and Coaching Success Radio. So what's the goal for your client in your coaching business and for Coaching Success Radio? And then the other one is, if you could explain your dream client or your avatar. I really like listening to the Dream 100. If you could explain a quick synopsis of your dream client, who would that be?
Awesome question. So my coaching program has evolved, and I think it's continually evolving. Right now, in the past couple of years, I've been working specifically to help coaches who are basically either brand new at coaching or are trying to grow their coaching business, have been in business for a while, but they've been kind of stuck at a certain level. So if they're only making a couple $100 a month in their coaching, or they're not bringing on very many clients, I was in that position when I first started out. When I first left my I guess 9 to 5, I was working at a church as a musician in amongst all this other real estate stuff and the coaching stuff. Left that and went completely entrepreneurial and trying to make that work. And like, again, in your world, with whether it's network marketing, whether it's internet marketing, affiliate marketing, any kind of social media work, anything entrepreneurs are doing, it's tough to get some traction and get things going in your business. So I've done a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. I learned from really, really amazing people. And I've had some people that I've hired that I regret, like, oh man, I should have checked into them a little bit more. Right. So I think what I'm trying to do in my programs, I'm trying to help people kind of shortcut some of those obstacles. I get real careful in my language though, because part of it, like, you hear a lot of stuff, especially in the coaching world, but really in entrepreneurial world, people who are saying, if you follow these 6 steps, I can help you make 6 figures in 2 weeks and all this kind of crap, right? Or this email sequence is what I use to generate. They don't tell you that it was like 10 years of stuff to get them to that 2-week email sequence and all this list building. So I don't promise people that, hey, in a couple of weeks, you're going to have a 5-figure month. That's not the case. But what it is it's slicing through. I think there's so much stuff that we think we have to do. There's like, between funnels and email sequences and webinars and podcasts and blogging and all these pieces. And I think so many people getting started don't have a real solid roadmap. And so they just start trying stuff, and they're like shiny objects everywhere, right? And you're like, I'll get a subscription to this, and I'll buy this course, and I'll watch this webinar, and oh my gosh, it's the same thing that happened in real estate. And I'll just use that back experience. In real estate, when you think about real estate investing, and I don't know how savvy anybody is on it necessarily, but you understand there's homes, and then there's apartments, right? And then there's businesses, like if I go and buy a building that a strip mall is in. And then there is real estate, like I can buy land, like farmland. I can buy raw land that's not been zoned yet, right? I can buy, it goes on. I can buy mobile home parks. It goes on, and you get into all these things. And in that world, people did the same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start investing in land. I'm going to start investing in non-performing notes. I'm going to start and they started bouncing all over. So with my clients, what I'm trying to do is, if people are super interested in growing their business and they're just kind of either, like I said, they're starting out or they're just done with like figuring everything out. Like, I don't know what roadmap to do. My dream client is somebody who is good at what they do. They can help people. They have the skill set for that. I don't teach any of the coaching, like here's how you coach somebody. I just teach the business side. So they get those skill sets and they're looking to ramp that up. That's who I like to work with, is somebody who's passionate about the coaching and just needs some help figuring out how to get their message out and really be more of an influence on the world. So that's who I work with and look for.
Man, that's cool, because so I just did an interview with one of my good friends, John Schwartz, and his goal he's going to write a book, but his goal, he's been in the car audio industry for about 20 years. And he just launched a new brand, but his goal for all of his book is to compress time frames. He goes, if I can compress your time frames to not 2 weeks, but if you do what I say, follow the frameworks that I'm doing, and I compress what could have taken 7 years to 3 years, or what could have taken 3 years to 1 year, or what could have taken a year to 6 months, and you go through all of that coaching to coaches, and you follow the framework, that's a huge nugget, guys. I mean, listen to that, like compressing time frames, because I did a podcast the other day, and slow sucks and fast is awesome. So compressing time frames and getting on with, seeing the challenges that you already been through and you've seen through other coaches, you can expand their network and their business faster.
Absolutely. I can always make more money, but I can't make more time. That's basically what it boils down to, right?
Exactly. So you launched the podcast, and I've been following you for a long time. So how important in our world, we call it publishing. It's called, and some people it's called Facebook Live, it's called podcasting, whatever you're calling it, or blogging. But how important to your business in the last 6 months has publishing been? And how important would you say to do it is?
Publishing is super important if it's something that you're doing right. I learned so I know you're a big Steve Larson fan, big Russell Brunson guy with ClickFunnels and stuff. And I don't know if all the people in the audience know, but if you don't know who Russell Brunson is, basically his stance on it, his whole mindset is that if you publish every single day for a year, you're gonna succeed. There's just no way out of it. And I have been publishing pretty regularly for about half a year now, and I can tell you already that my results are ridiculous and improved. And people assume that results mean I've made a ton of money, which the money's there, but it's way beyond that. It's the relationships that I've forged through it. So in my business, what I do is obviously the coaching, but it's also the podcast. It's a huge piece of what I'm doing when you're talking about publishing. And I set up to do the same thing you're doing, Eric, interviews and just reaching out to people. And my purpose for starting the podcast was pretty self-centered. I was like, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to connect with these amazing people. Because I see these coaches who are just crushing it, right? And I'm like, oh, crap, I'd love to connect with these people. So I started just reaching out to coaches all over on different Facebook forums that I saw were giving tons of content, tons of advice, tons of good stuff. They had their funnels in place, their systems in place. And I just reached out to them and I was like, hey, I'm starting a podcast. Do you want to be interviewed? And I got like 10 or 15 coaches like, sure. And I was like, oh crap. Okay, cool. And so it was like, all right. But in those conversations now, I have relationship now. And one of the questions I always ask is I get into that interview and I get done with it. And I'm always asking, is there somebody who's almost as cool as you are that I could talk to next? Somebody who could give me a nugget that is beyond that. And it's amazing. People are so willing to share ideas and people and relationships. So now I'm going on other people's podcasts. I'm contributing to blogs. I've written for, somebody's got an ebook that I've written for. I mean, it's just crazy, the stuff that you start doing. And then that snowballs into the clients that you start attracting. It starts snowballing into the money you're making and really your sphere of influence. So if you're on the fence and it seems daunting to publish, I would suggest, just like you said, publish could mean anything. You don't have to go out and start a podcast. In fact, I recommend you don't, unless you like really love this. But if you're more of a writer, like blog or Facebook, like live stuff or posting just stuff. When you're talking about publishing content though, you have to, there's a strategy to it. And the strategy is there's a do and a don't. There's a bunch of don'ts. And one of the things that you must not do is just assume that because you're putting content out there, any kind of content, that it's going to start building you up. If you're just reposting, a Gary Vee quote and you're like, hey, or a Jim Rohn quote, and you're like posting the same stuff, you're like putting stuff up randomly on your Facebook posts, something like, I follow my dreams because I'm a badass or something like that. If people are like, okay, like if it's just feel good, doodly guap and stuff, it's not going to mean anything. But if it's something that's actually, it's got to be something that shifts people's paradigm a little bit and gets people to question you. It's got to be a little bit provocative, a little bit controversial, and get people to engage with you. You have to put something out there that's going to mean something. And that's publishing. Publishing is not going on and just filling your Facebook page with a bunch of stuff and be like, yeah, I published. I'm a network marketer, so I'm going to put every post out there about my network marketing and all the links to how to buy stuff. And here's all the product I have. Like, that's not publishing. That's going to get you unfriended, right?
That's an infomercial. That's an infomercial.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a difference. But publishing by a long ways has made my business way stronger, way more fun too.
Well, and what's nice about that is you're actually building a network, and you're building a true network. And
You're
one
right.
of the biggest nuggets that I just pulled from you just now was, and guys, always be learning. Like, when you're listening to these interviews and you're listening to interviews, there's always nuggets that drop. The question he asked, is there anyone as cool as you that I could also talk to? Oh my goodness, that is a huge nugget. Because as you're building relationships, people are willing to give you that warm introduction. And in network marketing, that's exactly what you're doing when you enroll somebody, is you're asking them. But when you're publishing, you're actually giving something first versus getting and getting and getting. And that's what I love about publishing, is there's a lot of giving. You're giving a lot to people. And, like William said, is like, don't just publish to publish. Publish because there's some content. There's something that you want to share. And again, we're talking about Russell Brunson. He talks about being an attractive character. And people relate to your, everybody has their dream. Everybody has their struggle. Everybody has their victory. And more people on the internet, on podcasts that are following you, more people relate to your struggle than your dream or your victory. So if you're publishing and you're telling your story and you're just documenting what you're doing, your journey, you're going to get a lot more people. And it's amazing how, I don't want to say easy, but it's amazing how willing people are to be on your podcast. If you reach out to them correctly and you do it for the right reasons. And one of the nuggets that I actually saw was, I was listening to a story not too long ago, and it was about Arsenio Hall on The Apprentice. And he said, when I had a platform, when I had a show, everybody took my call. But now that I don't have a show, I couldn't even raise $1 because everyone was too busy. So that's just one thing about publishing that people will actually relate to. They'll be like, well, he has a show, or he has this, or, yeah, no problem, I'll come on your show, or yeah, I'll interact with your Facebook Live, because you have something and you're giving content. So, okay, well, we're at about 18 minutes, but I'm gonna ask these two questions real quick.
Fire away, man. I got your back.
And just get you going. So, you've been an entrepreneur for years. You've done a few things. You've done the church. You've done the real estate. You're doing the coaching. Going back, the day that you decided to be an entrepreneur, what's the one thing you would have told yourself to increase the speed of your business? Period.
I would say, so when I first became an entrepreneur, again, I was 14. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit, because anymore though, with the internet, I mean, I know kids who are not even 10 that are making 6 figures a year selling bracelets and stuff. So it's not like it's impossible. But I would say for me, probably the first real entrepreneurial thing I did was I started a business with my wife. I was actually a videographer for about 10 years as well. And we started a company up. And what I would probably have done different would be to really look at the systems that I had going. I created this business as a videographer. My wife and I would go out and shoot. We'd film weddings. We did, not just like pretty much anything people would need, like events, concerts, anything that was happening, dance recitals, that kind of stuff like that. We'd film it, and we'd sell the tape back to the parents, and that was pretty good. The problem we had, though, was that we really created another job for ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. I was working my job at the church. She had her job. We had 2 small children, and we said, hey, let's start a videography company. It'll be our business. Well, technically we just said, let's just make another job for ourselves. And yes, we were the boss. Like, we could decide which clients to take or not. But if we wanted to get paid, one of us had to show up, and then one of us had to spend, this is back in the old days, I'm dating myself here, but this is back in the old days whenever it was all on tape. It wasn't digital. So to import stuff into a computer took time. It was like a second for second thing. So you couldn't just upload it. Then you had to go through and you had to edit it, you had to color it, and then you had to burn DVDs. And it was just like, it was a lot of stuff. And looking at it, we probably made way less than minimum wage for every project we had. Even if we charged decent money, it was just for the time. So that process stuck with me. Like, if I'm going to start another business, I'm not doing all that again. I'm coming up with a different system. So right now, the things I don't want to do, I either send them off to a VA or I have somebody else doing this for me. Cause I'm like, if it's not something I'm passionate about doing, it's taking my time, right? Like it's not worth it for me to sit down and try and create, a graphic or an outro for my podcast, or, it's like, I have so much other stuff I got to do. Could I do it? Yeah, I could. I've got the skills. I know how to use Photoshop. I could probably make it look okay, but that's not what I've got. So much other crap to do, and I got clients to serve, and I got content to put out. So having a system in place that gives you that freedom to focus on what you are really good at, and not being scared to let go of the stuff that you are not the expert in. If you're not an amazing accountant, like $20 an hour, hire a bookkeeper. Like seriously, like, it's not worth your time to sit there with TurboTax at the end of the year and try and figure this crap out, right? Yeah. So that was what I would say. I would have started right away, but like, okay, cool. Here's what I want to do. Everything else I don't want to do, I'm going to figure out how to hire out. That has been a lifesaver for me.
One of our mentors says, hire when it hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because it's crazy, because you get this, entrepreneurs are horrible at this, man. We're all supermen, right? Like, I can do this all myself. I don't need nobody to do this. And my mom was the queen of this thing. Like, I want it done right. I got to do it myself. And oh my gosh, it's like, yes, you're right. It could probably look really good, but how many hours is that going to suck out of your day? And, you spend all this time putting whatever your, peevish little project is together, and then you've let go of the people you could have served, the clients you could have connected with, the product you could have pushed through, right? And it's like, man, you want to be good, really, really good at a couple things. You don't want to be the jack of all trades. Right. That guy's broke. You want to be the person who's really good at one or two things, right? And you look at any entrepreneur who's super, super successful, and I don't care who you're looking at, down, up the chain, it doesn't matter. They're focusing on a couple little things. They're not trying to do all the stuff in their space. They have people doing that. They have people they trust, they hire out, and they bring them in. And you got to get the right people in place. But man, once you get that set up, it's so you can look back and like, why in the world was I wasting so much time doing this other crap? So
that's one of the big nuggets that I always that I took from the One Funnel Away challenge is the who, not the how. If I can figure out who can do it way better than me, then do it. And a lot of times it's becoming that leader within your team, which basically can articulate exactly what you want. And again, that's what you're going to, in network marketing, you're articulating to your team. This is the who, not the how in network marketing. You're articulating to your team, this is the system we want to follow. This is how we want to do it. This has results that show results and results and results and results. It always shows those same results. And that doesn't matter if you're, building a podcast, doing prospecting for network marketing, doing an onboarding system for network marketing, or doing an onboarding system for a new customer, or even a VA. If you can articulate what your goal is, then they'll be able to follow it because they have the framework and the steps.
Exactly.
So, the last question I have for you, and it's a good one. And I know that you've been around, so you've been around a while.
Not saying I'm old, are you?
No, not saying you're old. I like to tell people I'm seasoned.
There you go. Hey, there you are.
So in your business today, what's the one thing that keeps you up at night, good, bad, or both?
I think probably, honestly, okay, that's kind of a weird question because I am the guy who is up anyway. Like there's the tradition, like if you get up at 4 a.m, you're going to be a better entrepreneur. I'm not. I'm the guy who stays up till 3 a.m. and then sleeps until 9. That's my world. Like I'm in that cycle. And for me though, what keeps me like troubled and I wake up in a cold sweat is really just thinking like, what is the next thing I could be doing to, I look at my family, right? I look at my kids. I have a daughter who just started high school today, and my boy just started junior high. So I'm looking at that. And I'm going, okay, what do I need to do for them to get them on the right track? I look at college options. I look at all that stuff, and I'm thinking, like, do I really want to send them down that path, or how do I get them in that, mindset of the entrepreneurial mindset to take care of themselves and go that direction? And that honestly doesn't keep me up every night. But it's something that if I start thinking about that, like it's a long night. It's like it's okay. How do I make this work? And I can't fix their problem. I'm not going to tell them how to live their lives. But I think about where I was at, 13, 14, 15 years old. And I think about, the decisions I made in my life and the direction I kind of went. And I will say I love that my family let me do kind of my own thing. They made me go to college, but they let me get a degree in music, right? Like whoever gets a job with a music degree, which somehow I did. I don't know. I got a job with music without teaching. That's another podcast. But the challenge is just saying, what can I do to be there and be a good enough father in that sense, but also be back enough to let them kind of make their own choices and let them fall, let them make the mistakes. It's the same with my coaching clients. It's like, I don't give them the answers. Like I'll help them get the answers. I'll get them to the point where they got the answer or they can get that direction. But like I said, I don't like to get people like, hey, in 2 weeks you'll make X number of dollars. No, it's going to take some time. And you got to go through, you got to fall a little bit. Otherwise, if you're just handed something, you're not going to appreciate it. It's not going to come back the next time. I think there's too much that you lose in that lesson. So it's figuring out that balance of how do I gently guide my kids and at the same time let them be free to just, completely crush under their own weight if they have to, just to get back up.
Teach them to fish, but don't give them the fish. But then you want to be able to give them the right tools. You want to have the best. They want to have the best fishing nets or whatever. So
right.
It's a fine line because I have 7 kids and they do all sorts of things from work at the hotels to work at the banks to do logistics. So they have everything, and it's just that hits me hard because you're in that spot. I'm done with that. They're already 20. The youngest is 20, but man, that's a sweet area that you're in.
It is it's that weird line of, again, you like you said, you want to help them, but you also you gotta let them just, sometimes they're gonna fall down, and that's okay. It's good. A little dirt never hurt. So
that's right. A little dirt never hurt. So thank you, William. I appreciate you jumping on. I'm actually gonna put the link to your podcast in the show notes. Also,
great.
Also, I'm gonna put the link to your Facebook in the show notes as well. Hey guys, make sure you listen to the full outro, because I'm giving away a 30-day summit to 30 of the top internet entrepreneurs. If they lost everything, what would they do to get it back every single day? So there's 30 entrepreneurs that you can get the summit for free. So make sure you listen to the full outro. And again, William, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And let's do this again.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Eric.
I know that network marketing can be tough sometimes, being that outcast, seeing that vision that nobody else sees. So what I did for you guys is I put together a summit of some of the top income earners in network marketing for free at www.burntphonechallenge.com/summit. This summit's going to help you with belief, it's going to help you with strategy, and it's going to help you with the steps to help you grow your business. So enjoy the free training, and I'll see you on the next podcast.